I woke up on Thanksgiving morning to silence, no laughter, no smell of food. My family had packed their bags, boarded a private jet to Aspen. I was left behind. They thought I'd stay forgotten, the quiet daughter who'd always forgive. But this time I didn't cry. But I planned well. When I was younger, Thanksgiving meant noise, the kind of noise that wrapped itself around you like a warm blanket. The sound of my mother humming over a boiling pot, the way my father's deep laugh carried down the hallway, and the endless chatter from my sister, Talia. Now the house is quiet, too quiet. That morning, sunlight leaked through the blinds, touching my cheek, and for a brief, foolish second, I thought I'd overslept the big family breakfast. I jumped out of bed, brushed the sleep off my face, and hurried downstairs. But there was no smell of roasted turkey, no sound of clinking glasses or my father calling my name. The kitchen was spotless, not a single dish, not even a crumb. Just silence. At first I laughed, a nervous, dry kind of laugh that echoed off the marble counters. Maybe they'd gone for groceries, maybe they were hiding a surprise. But when I checked the driveway, I froze. The family SUV gone, my mother's red sedan gone, even Talia's little convertible, the one she never lent anyone, gone. My chest tightened. I called my mother, straight to voicemail. Then my father, same thing. Finally Talia. Her phone rang once, then went dead. That's when I noticed the note. It was folded neatly and taped to the fridge, written in my mother's graceful, careful handwriting. Averly. Don't wait up, we decided to take an early flight to Aspen. You seemed tired and distant lately, so we thought you'd rather have the house to yourself this year. Love, Mom. The words didn't make sense. I read them again, slower this time, as if the ink might rearrange itself into something that didn't feel like abandonment. But no, it said exactly what it meant. They'd gone on a luxury family vacation without me. I sank to the kitchen floor, the tile cold against my knees. They'd left. Without me. On Thanksgiving. It wasn't the first time they'd forgotten me. In the Roan family, there was an unspoken rule: Averly blends in, Talia shines. Talia was the star, the golden girl, the one who always got the first slice of cake, the front seat, the loud applause. And me, I was the quiet one, the one who painted the backdrops while she took the spotlight. I'd always told myself that being invisible was safer, but that morning it felt like suffocating. When I finally managed to stand, I walked through the house, every corner screaming of them. Suitcases missing from the hallway. Family portraits smiling from the walls, like ghosts mocking me. The only thing left untouched was the spare bedroom, the one I'd turned into my little art studio. Canvases lined the walls, filled with color and movement, everything I couldn't say out loud. My best friend Micah Stroud had once told me, "Averly, you paint like you're bleeding onto the canvas." I used to laugh at that, but today it felt true. The day before Thanksgiving, my mother had smiled and said, "Sweetheart, we're all so excited for tomorrow. Make sure you pack your warm clothes, Aspen's cold this time of year." I'd even ironed my sweater, planned my playlist for the drive. So this wasn't an accident, they hadn't forgotten. They had decided. That realization burned more than anything. I spent the day in silence, scrolling through social media until I saw it, a photo Talia had just posted. The caption read, "Family trip, grateful for the ones who matter most, Orange Heart Thanksgiving in Aspen." There they were, my parents, Talia, her husband Joran, all smiling in front of a mountain resort. And in that perfect family photo, there was an empty space, right where I would have stood. Something inside me cracked. That evening, as the sun dipped low and shadows filled the empty house, the doorbell rang. It was Micah, holding a grocery bag and a pumpkin pie. "Happy Thanksgiving, Ave," he said softly. "You okay?" I couldn't speak, I just threw my arms around him and sobbed. He didn't ask questions, he never did. He just set the bag down and started unpacking cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes, 2 plates. We sat on the floor, eating in silence. After a while I said, "They left me, just left." Micah's jaw tightened. "They don't deserve you." I smiled weakly. "Maybe I don't deserve them. He reached out, taking my hand. No, Everly, you've spent your whole life trying to be enough for people who will never see you. Stop trying, let them see what they lost. Those words planted something in me, not rage, not yet, just a seed. A week later, when they came back, the house was loud again. My mother rushed in first, perfume filling the air. Oh, there you are, sweetheart, she chirped as if she hadn't left me behind. You wouldn't believe the view from our suite. We brought you something. She handed me a small paper bag. Inside was a snow globe. I stared at it, tiny plastic skiers spinning inside fake snow. Thanks, I said quietly. Talia walked in next, wrapped in a designer coat, her hair perfectly styled. Oh my God, Everly, you should have seen it. You'd have loved the spa. Well, maybe next time. I bit my tongue until it almost bled. Next time, there would be no next time. That night I lay in bed replaying every moment, the note, the fake smiles, the snow globe. And then I decided something. I wasn't going to cry about being forgotten anymore. I was going to make sure they remembered me forever. Over the next few weeks, I started observing them differently, like a scientist studying a lab of snakes. My father, Marcellus, was a corporate executive, obsessed with image. My mother, Seraphine, was the perfect hostess, smiling for the neighbors, hiding her cruelty in compliments. Talia and her husband Joran lived off my father's money, posting about hard work while barely lifting a finger. They thought I was harmless, the quiet, overlooked daughter. But being invisible has its advantages. No one notices the invisible one listening, watching, collecting secrets. I started small, copies of emails, financial slips, photos, recordings of whispered conversations in the living room. What I discovered made my stomach twist. My father was under investigation for insider trading. My mother was secretly selling art pieces from our family gallery to cover debts. And Talia, she was having an affair with one of my father's business partners. The perfect Roan family wasn't just broken, it was rotting. When I told Micah what I'd found, he looked uneasy. Everly, you're playing with fire. Then let it burn, I said. He stared at me. This isn't you. It is now. He sighed. Just promise me one thing, don't lose yourself trying to hurt them. But I already had. A month later, I announced I was hosting a family dinner. It was the first time I'd ever invited them for anything. My mother raised a perfectly arched brow. Oh, what's the occasion? I smiled. I just wanted to show you something I've been working on. The night arrived. I cooked everything myself, roasted turkey, glazed carrots, even homemade pie. They came dressed to impress, sipping wine and complimenting my cooking like I was auditioning for their approval. When the plates were cleared, I brought out a laptop and connected it to the big TV. I made a short presentation, I said sweetly. It's called The Roan Family, a Thanksgiving Story. They laughed until the first slide appeared. It started with the photo Talia had posted from Aspen, the one with the empty space where I should have been. Then the next slide showed screenshots, emails, bank statements, text messages. My father's illegal trades. My mother's secret art sales. Talia's affair. My father's face turned white. What is this? I smiled, my voice calm. A reminder of what family means, of what you did to me. My mother's hand trembled. You have no right. Oh, I have every right, I cut in. Because while you were skiing in Aspen, I was here, alone, realizing that I don't need your love, I need justice. The room was on fire, not literally, but the tension was thick enough to choke on. And that was only the beginning. The room went dead silent. You could have heard a fork drop. My father's hand trembled over his wine glass. Everly, he began, his voice trying to steady itself. Whatever this performance is, it ends now. Performance, I echoed. No, Dad, this is truth, raw and unedited. The same truth you and Mom have spent your whole lives burying under designer smiles and family photos. Talia slammed her glass down. You're pathetic, Everly. You think you can ruin us because we went on vacation without you. I turned to her slowly. Oh no, Talia, that was just the spark, you're the fire. I clicked the next slide. It showed a private message between Talia and her father's partner, Elon Kress. The one where she called Joran boring and bragged about how she'd used Daddy's company shares to fund our escape once he's gone. Joran's face went pale, he looked at her, jaw clenched. What the hell is this? She stammered, that's not it's fake. I folded my arms. You sure? Because I traced it from your phone's backup. Her silence was the only confession I needed. Then came my mother's turn. Screenshots of her private art transactions, all sold under a fake name, money hidden offshore. Seraphine Rohn, I said softly, you've been laundering money for years. I even contacted the gallery's insurance firm, they're very interested in your private collections. My mother's lips quivered, you wouldn't dare. Oh, I already did. Then came my father, the finale. Emails, recorded calls, even a file from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Marcellus Rohn, senior partner at Bristol Holdings, I read aloud, currently under silent review for insider trading and fraudulent reporting. Ring any bells? He slammed his fist on the table. How dare you expose family matters in front of everyone? I tilted my head. You mean the way you exposed me, left me behind to rot while you played the perfect family? Talia stood up shaking. You're insane, you think this makes you powerful, you've just destroyed your own bloodline. I smiled, calm, deliberate. No, Talia, I just revealed who we've been all along. My father's voice dropped low. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said, but I'll sleep better than you tonight. Then I stood, closed the laptop, and walked out, leaving them in a silence that screamed louder than any words ever could. The next morning I woke to chaos. News headlines flashing across my phone. Bristol Holdings executive under investigation. Anonymous whistleblower reveals corporate scandal. Art dealer linked to money laundering scheme. It was everywhere. The evidence I'd gathered had been sent anonymously to journalists and authorities overnight. And it wasn't a hack, it was me. Micah called me that morning. Averly, what did you do? What I had to, I said. He sighed, you lit a fuse that won't stop burning. I know, I whispered, but sometimes you have to burn down a house to build a home. By noon, the Rohn family name was trending, not for glamour or charity, but for greed and betrayal. My father's firm suspended him pending investigation. My mother's gallery license was revoked. And Talia's husband, he packed up and left, taking her luxury car and her dignity with him. They all called me, first angry, then desperate. My mother begged, my father threatened. Talia cried. But I didn't answer, not once. For the first time in my life I felt free. A few days later, Micah showed up at my door. He looked tired, worried. Ave, they're saying your dad might face prison time. Are you sure you want this? I looked at him, really looked. The man who'd been my only friend through every cold dinner and empty compliment. I didn't want to destroy them, I said quietly. I just wanted them to feel what I felt, to be forgotten, unprotected, unwanted. He sighed, and do you feel better? I hesitated, not yet. He nodded slowly. Then you still have time to stop before it consumes you completely. That night I got a text from an unknown number. Unknown, you think you've won, you just exposed yourself, you'll never be one of us again. It was from Talia. I stared at it for a long time, then typed back. You're right, I'll never be one of you, I'll be something better. A year passed, the house changed. The walls were bare, my parents sold it to pay legal fees. They moved into a smaller place across town, a fraction of what they once had. And me, I bought a small studio downtown, turned my art into my life. One evening, right before Thanksgiving, Micah came by with groceries. You know, he said with a grin, you could host again this year, start new traditions. I smiled, maybe I will. He started setting plates. Do you ever think about them? Every day, I said, but not with hate anymore, just perspective. I poured us both wine. They left me once, Micah, but I left them forever, and that's my peace. A week later, a letter arrived. The handwriting was unmistakable, my mother's perfect cursive. Averly. We've lost everything. Your father's trial starts next month. Talia's in rehab. I don't know where else to turn. Please, if there's any heart left in you, help us. Love, Mom. I sat with it for a long while, running my fingers over the ink. Help them after everything. I thought of the cold kitchen that Thanksgiving morning, the note taped to the fridge. The silence, the empty driveway. Then I tore the letter in half and tossed it into the fire. Goodbye, Mom, I whispered. See, revenge isn't always a loud explosion. Sometimes it's the quiet satisfaction of knowing you survived the people who tried to erase you. They left me behind thinking I'd disappear. But I became something stronger, a ghost that haunted their legacy. My art took off that year. Critics called my work visceral and tragically beautiful. They didn't know that every canvas I painted held a hidden piece of my family's sins. And each painting sold faster than the last. I used the money to start a small non-profit, The Forgotten Ones. It helps kids from broken homes find therapy through art. Because I knew what it meant to be forgotten. And I vowed that no one else would feel that way, not if I could help it. 2 years later, on another Thanksgiving morning, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, Talia stood there, thinner, older, hollow-eyed. Averly, she said, her voice trembling, I don't have anywhere to go. I stared at her, the sister who'd once laughed at my pain. The woman who'd said I'd never matter. Now she stood before me, broken. For a moment, I felt that old anger rise, the urge to slam the door. But then I saw it, the same emptiness I once carried. I sighed softly, come in. She blinked, surprised. You mean it? Only for tonight. We sat at my small table, eating quietly. After a while, Talia whispered, I'm sorry for everything. I looked at her. You don't have to be sorry, Talia. I needed what happened. It woke me up. She nodded, tears in her eyes. You're stronger than all of us, you know that. I smiled faintly. Maybe, or maybe I just stopped pretending. When she left the next morning, I watched her walk away, and for the first time I didn't feel hate. Just relief. They say family is forever. But sometimes, forever is the chain that keeps you from becoming who you're meant to be. They left me behind thinking I'd fade away. Instead, I became a storm they could never outrun. And every Thanksgiving since, I sit by my window with a cup of tea and whisper to the empty air. Thank you for leaving me. Because when you did, I found myself. They say revenge is bitter. But sometimes, it's the only thing that finally tastes like peace. I used to think forgiveness would heal me. That if I stayed quiet long enough, love would find its way back. But silence only made their cruelty louder. My family thought leaving me behind would break me. But it only taught me how to rebuild, stronger, sharper, louder than their lies ever could. I stopped waiting for their apologies. I stopped begging to be seen. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge isn't about watching them fall. It's about rising so high, they can't even reach your shadow. And now, every time they remember Thanksgiving, they remember me. The girl they left behind, who learned to rise alone, and built a life so bright, it burns in their memory forever.